Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Good morning, everybody. This is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank you for joining our call today. We had just a lot of fun doing our gratitude rounds before we started the recording. And if you've never been on live, I encourage you to come live because you get to start early. Before we start the recording, we have a lot of really awesome things that are shared. And it really creates the tone of what our call is going to be about. And I think that's one of the powerful things about being on the call live, because you really create the call. And those who are here on the call, I feel like, everybody that listens to it gets some benefit, but there's something about being here live that this is particularly focused for you, for those who are here live. So if you've never done that, I encourage you to join. You can just go to wileenbenson.com/gratitude, and that will show you all you need to know about getting on live. There's a video there that teaches you about the breathing technique that we do before we start the recording and the different rounds of gratitude and the whole structure of the call. So you'll be prepared when you come. And we do have somebody new on our call today. And so I recommend that you go there, wileenbenson.com/gratitude, and just watch. There's a couple of videos there and some information on how to join live. And so I encourage you to do that. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for the things that you shared before we started the recording. I feel like there is just a lot of energy around clearing space for this amazing experiences to happen. And Mary on our call shared that clearing, like clearing space for to step into a real experience, allow the experiences that are really for you. Like, when we are creating in our mind, in our imagination, we are building an experience in our mind that is not yet physical, but we can generate the emotion. We can actually be there. And, we do that often on our gratitude call at the end when we do our meditation. I'll help you to really be there in this experience, whatever it is that you want to create, so that it feels real. And then when you come back to the real world, then you've already been there. And so it makes it easier for you to create it in reality. And I've been over these last weeks, as I've been sitting in my daily GPS in the morning, I've had this sense and just a clarity of there are experiences, and I'm going to call them counterfeit experiences. You guys know I use that word quite a bit, that feel real, that look real, but there's some kind of a catch to them, or they're not exactly real. I'll give you an example of that. Would be an addiction that gives you a simulated, gives you a temporary high, like it sends endorphins and dopamine and all that to your brain to make you think that this is a really awesome experience. And then there is the real experience of having something, doing something, setting a goal or whatever, and then accomplishing it and feeling success. That's pure dopamine. I mean, that's like those endorphins just race to your brain, and it's just so much more lasting. You can always go back to that experience and feel that joy and excitement of the joy and the gratitude of finishing something and having, success, feeling true success. And that's kind of what I felt when Mary said, clearing space for real experiences. It's like clearing all the clutter that we have gathered that we think makes us feel good. We pack things around us, even like extra weight sometimes around us, to make us feel good, or to help us feel like we're okay, kind of feeling like we're in survival mode. But got somebody else coming in the call. I just wanted to admit them. That we pack things around us that maybe even remind us of a good time that we had in the past or whatever. But if we put too much value on those things or even people around us that have helped us to feel good in the past or feel safe in the past or even feel successful in the past, then those are counterfeit experiences or counterfeit relationships that sometimes will stop us from having the real, true experience of, real joy, real love, real connection, those types of things. So anyway, that's, I just wanted to share kind of where our focus today is coming from. And then we're going to have a 90-second private silent meditation where you just write down whatever comes to you, whatever your inspiration is on this subject of gratitude for clearing space for real experiences. Clearing space for real experiences. And we'll see what comes up and then we'll share. So 90-second private silent meditation, just write down whatever comes to you on gratitude for clearing space for real experiences. Begin. All right. Some of you know that I might have mentioned it here on the call, or I know I've said it in some of the calls that I've done, either in the Seven Gateways membership or the Lord's Way to Wealth membership or our Architecture of Life membership. Somewhere I've been talking about energetic connections and just feeling like there are some energetic connections that energetic ties that I need to cut. Like apron strings. I think I talked about this yesterday on the gratitude call. Anyway, this morning in my daily GPS, it was like so absolutely crystal clear that any energetic connection to anyone or anything is counterfeit. And it was like such a revelation to me, because I have really felt in the past that if I have an energetic contract with someone, that I should be like open for inspiration about that person, or, focused on that person as like a person that I have a contract with as a mentor, or, a mentor-client relationship or whatever, or even like, my children or my husband or whatever. And now when I say that, I it just like feels so false to me now, because of this new understanding that I have, that the only energetic connection that I need, or that I even should have for me personally, is to God and the Holy Spirit and Christ, and just that oneness, that aligned connection. and grounded to the earth, just that single column of connection is all that I need, because I have found from past experience, and even happened this morning with a potential client who I had felt, when I met with them the first time, I was like getting all this inspiration of how I could serve them, but they said no. And I still felt like there was an energetic connection. I was like, well, why would I have gotten all of this inspiration about how we can work together if we're not supposed to work together? And so I reached out to them again. And this morning I received the text that's still no. And it was so cool to get that, that inspiration in my daily GPS this morning about I have no ties. I have no business having ties with anyone or anything, only to God. And so it was just like the easiest thing in the world to say, perfect, let's talk again in May, because that was when they said, that they wanted to touch base with me again. And it's like, there's nothing, like there's no remorse, there's no regret, there's no worry, there's no nothing. It's just such a freeing feeling, and to believe and trust that God's going to give me the exact perfect inspiration of who I get to work with, where I get to go, what things to bring into my life. He's just going to give me all that. And I don't have to have any kind of energetic ties to anything, and can let go when I don't even have to let go, because I never had the tie to begin with. So anyway, it's a new level of understanding. Mary.
Yes, clearing space for real experiences. I'm really grateful for. I don't know if you said this word earlier, because I got cut off. Before we started the recording, I had also written down, I'm grateful for serendipitous moments, things that happen that happen to cut off from something that I'm trying to make happen. And yesterday I had that experience where I was trying to get onto a class. I had left my house, gone to a park, sat there, and I was going to tune into the class, and I couldn't get on. And I tried different various ways and several times, and I couldn't get on. And I just had this piece like, you know what, this is not where you need to be. And it was clearing a space for what I really needed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to sit on the park bench and write. And I was just amazed at how sometimes those things we are doing are kind of a crutch. And they're mm-hmm. What do you call them? They're the word you always used. Counterfeit. Mm-hmm. Counterfeit. Yeah. And that they are like a security blanket or a counterfeit that keeps us from ourselves. Mm-hmm. And in trying to find more information or more purpose, that's not where to look. It's be with God, be with yourself, and let things come to you. So that's what came to me, that clearing space, that cleared a space for a real experience, for real connection, for that, because God is my source. And so let him be. And yes, he will lead you to people, and he'll lead you to courses. He'll lead you to things, but just be with yourself and be with God, and let him just teach you. And I think that's trusting that space, trusting that clearing, because sometimes it can just be like uncomfortable. Like, well, but they know what they're doing, or this is where I need to go, or no, just trust.
Beautiful, beautiful. I remember an experience came to me as you were talking, that I was sitting in church, and you would think like that'd be the best place to be, right? To receive inspiration from God. But I got sick to my stomach all of a sudden. I felt like very nauseous, and I told my husband, and we just live within walking distance, just around the corner from the church. And so I said, I think I'm going to go home. I just don't feel good. And so I stood up in the middle of the meeting and walked out, and then just walked home. And on my way home, I just remember looking around. It was an October day, super clear. The sun was shining, these beautiful leaves the colors, and I just drank in that nature. And when I walked in my front door, I had the most wonderful vision open up to me of a decision that my husband and I had been trying to make. And I saw the answer. And I had to get away and be by myself and to just connect with God on that walk for me to be able to receive that. And what a beautiful experience for you to have cleared the space to be in this park and by yourself with God to be able to have that real experience. Thank you.
Yes. Can I mention one more thing?
Uh-huh.
Because when I was in the park, after it got a little too cold, I walked back to the car. And as I was there, I saw other people. I connected, and I was able to, if you're involved, you can't see. If you're involved in, your paper and your notes or whatever, sometimes you just can't see. And so there was the mountains, and there were kids playing, and it helped me see with a new perspective things I wouldn't have seen.
Yeah, I love that. When we feel like we have to do something, like have to get on a call or whatever, then other people and things become distractions. They become obstacles to us. And yeah, what a beautiful experience. Thank you. Melinda.
Thank you, Mary and Wileen, for sharing that. That was just beautiful. And you really mentioned just what was going through my mind, a lot of what was going through my mind. But what I found, at least this past year, especially, is that a lot of these things, like going to school and I own my own business, that kind of thing, are really neat and awesome and in my purpose, but can be a distraction from the thing which I know really matters most, which are my children and my husband. And I love how Mother Nature and similarly little children can just bring you back to that clarity. Like, oh, okay, I know when I really have a project due and it's a deadline. And what I've noticed, that if my children come in and I think they're the distraction, like more than, at least 2 or 3 times, what I've learned is that's a signal to me that the project's been a distraction and it's time to take a moment with them. And they've always, every time, teach me something so amazing. And it just brings me peace how Heavenly Father has set up these beautiful ways to bring us back to what's real and to avoid those distractions or those kind of counterfeits, and to really keep us on track of the things that matter most. And it's just really neat.
Wow. I can think of several times where I was involved, like totally focused in a project, and like several different distractions came up. And what a powerful realization for you to realize that the project had become the distraction when something that was really more important, that those real experiences that are right there in front of you. What a wonderful realization. Thank you. Tyree.
So along the same lines, I was just thinking about how sometimes what we see in vision, like when we go through these guided meditations and things that we do on the call, when those experiences and that connection that we feel with Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, or even with other people, can be more real than living in our automatic habitual actions in our daily lives that don't take real effort or thought. And so having those pattern interrupts, or having things that just wake us up, are sometimes so important and essential, so that we see what is real.
Wow.
And it's not just our even living in our physical world. Sometimes that's not real.
Wow. Yeah, I'm thinking like what Melinda was saying. She's creating something which is super awesome and important to create, in her business or in her school or whatever. But yeah, wake up to the real experiences that, actually live in the present, live in the real world. And we can get to a point where we're just kind of walking around in a dream state. It's like we get up, we do this, we wash the dishes, we brush our teeth. These are things that we do all the time without thinking. And we could totally fill our lives up with that. We could fill our lives with the automatic. And it is important for us to do some pattern interrupts and just like shake our heads and wake up and say, oh, wait, this is real life I'm living in. I think we get that way sometimes, like in our house, when we walk in our house and we walk past a mess like 50 billion times, and all of a sudden we can't see it anymore. We're in this dream state. And, if somebody were to come in and walk in the house for the first time, it's the first thing they notice. And I think it's a good opportunity sometimes to just like open up our eyes, walk in with new eyes, and see our world, our real world for the first time, and see, what's really working for us and what's not, and make some changes. Robert.
Well, I appreciate the phone call connection rather. So because and one of the reasons I had commented that I was grateful for is feedback, because the feedback helped me realize because of the book that I'm writing, helped me realize how I had become a captive of my captor, which was mother.
Mm-hmm.
And how easy it was for me to become a captive of mother because I knew nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing so, I couldn't see what, quote unquote, and I don't know how to define normal, but I can use the example of love. People say, well, did you love your mother? Well, yes, I loved mother as I understood love. And so I had to clear, I'm having, by me writing, I'm able to, which I appreciate what Mary was saying about writing, but so me being able to write has helped me clear how I was a captive of mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much more of that.
Yeah, I want to comment on that, because this is definitely one of those. Is it a real experience? Is it a counterfeit experience? Is it an experience just happening in your mind? We can have a relationship with someone who we would maybe call, quote, a captor, but we can be completely free. I've actually been talking to my daughter about that yesterday and the day before, that regardless of the choices of others, and even Viktor Frankl talked about this with the concentration camps, that those who remain free in their minds were able to make it. If they ever took on the belief or the identity of being a captive and never, being able to be free, they would die. And so, is it real? Well, in your own imagination, it's real. People on the outside might see something completely different, but in your mind, that's where the real experience is actually happening.
Yeah, but then to back up, set to be able to set your life put your life in a space where you can back up and understand.
Yes.
Where is this real? What was real, and why? Let's leave it at that. Why? Yeah. And then create, and then move forward. I mean, which is really a lot of what your work is all about in reality, is to try to understand that why.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so grateful, that we have that ability to, once we notice it and recognize it, that we've been living a counterfeit life, or, that in our imagination, it's been something other than what is absolute truth, that we can question that. And that's such a powerful thing. That's clearing the space to now have a real experience instead of.
Well, yes, absolutely. Sorry.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Colleen, and then we will move to our permission process.
It just reminds me of the villain victim, triangular thing, the enabler, whatever, because our perceptions are such that we, even if we could look at other people's lives, we could see, and we can have compassion for them for where they've been and what they're doing. Even with mothers that may not be equipped to be mothers, or something has happened in their lives that has been blocking them from being mothers, we interpret it to mean something about us, and the victim, villain. So the whole thing is nothing. You just have to connect with God and accept that people, you will never understand them. You will never, the Lord can give you insights on their perceptions and stuff, but it's really, God is the perfect judge. We don't have to worry about anybody else, just our focus on Christ. It doesn't, our interpretations of other people are so wildly off base most of the time, except for our intuition on, is this somebody that would be good to have in my life, and just to completely let go of any judgments or what that means about you, or that you're shunning somebody, but just have that openness with Christ to, to be intuitive. And if I should do something for this person, just to trust him if he inspires you with those thoughts, that you can, and that it is good for them, and it will be good for you, and it will be mutually beneficial. All of those things. We need each other, but we don't need to judge each other. It's just not, our whole connection is just Christ-based.
Beautiful. Oh, that just really brings everything full circle about just that connection with God, just that tie that we have. And you're right, there's no way that we could ever be in that person's shoes fully. We can, be open to receive some inspiration about how to work with that person or whatever. But that's all about me and God. It's not about me, changing someone or fixing someone, or, thinking that I know, what they're going through or whatever. And you're right, God can take all things and make it, work it together for our good. So it's for my good, it's for your good, it's for their good. Whatever he does is going to be for the best of all. And there's no way that we could figure that out. So just that connection with God is so important. Melinda, you must have something really important to share. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I know that we're
fine.
stepping into the permission process, and I don't want to deter from the beauty of any of this, because it's just beautiful and perfect. But it got me thinking about the 5 whys. And when we really go through the 5 whys of an event happening, then we can make more of an honest choice of what way to act and how. And so I love what I believe it was Colleen that just brought that full circle for me, the importance of going through the 5 whys and then making our decision with that little bit more of what we know, a new perspective and choice then on our end.
I'm not familiar with the 5 whys. I think it was Robert that was saying why. And so why don't you share that with me, and I can put it in the blog. Is it just like, you can just tell us real quick, or is it something?
Yeah, well, and I can I can post something on the Facebook
group. Okay.
Yeah,
Please,
I can put something
yeah,
there.
please do. So we can, put a link to it in the blog post as well. So if somebody's listening to this like 2 months from now, they'll be able to know where that is.
Well, and I can give you a quick rundown, but
Okay.
basically, like in business, say there's, you have a building. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, honey. Okay. And you have, the birds are, pooping on the building or something, right? And so it's like, well, why is that happening? Okay, well, that's because there's a lot of spider webs, they're coming to eat the spider webs, or, there's lights left on at night. And so you go through down all of these 5 whys to fix the problem instead of like spending all of this money to
Okay.
like then be correcting the building.
I love it.
But I'll post that, and it's just
Yeah. Okay.
fun
Thank you.
to
That's a
think
really,
about that in your mind, like in situations that are happening.
Mhm.
Okay, why is this happening? What is this? Looking at the perspective of the other person, kind of like Clayton was saying, and going
Beautiful.
through that rundown.
Yeah, I think this would be a really great process to be able to add to the call. So thank you. Yeah, just go ahead and post that and we'll make sure we get a link to that in the blog. Awesome. Kathy said, it's been said that 50% of what we think isn't even true. Our perception is our reality. Yeah, we can all be experiencing the exact same thing. And each one of us is going to have a different perception of what is truly real. And that's why it's so important to have that connection with God so that we absolutely know what the truth is, because perception is all false. It's not, it's not absolute truth. It's just what we're perceiving. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And just allow yourself to be open to clear a space for a real experience right now, to clear your mind of any perception and just connect with God, the source of all truth. And maybe there's a particular situation that you have. Maybe you've got birds pooping on your building and you need to make some changes, but maybe you're not really sure how to do that or whatever. Just clear a space to have a real experience right now. First of all, noticing what are the limiting beliefs that are coming up about that experience that you're having, the thing that you want to change, that you have been feeling is, maybe you've been feeling a victim, or maybe you've been feeling that someone else is a victim, or feeling like you're not having success in a certain area or whatever. So whatever that area in your life is that you're feeling like you, in your perception, it's not working, it's not right, it's not the best, not perfect, just to clear the space right now to understand what is really happening and listen for any limiting beliefs as you're in this discovery process. And just write those limiting beliefs down as they come. So as you've cleared that space, invite that strong connection with God, the source of all truth, to be in this space. And whether that means you invite him to come and be with you in that space, or you feel this conduit of light coming down from heaven to your head, however it looks to you, just go ahead and allow that space to be created where that true connection is happening. And just have him share with you and show you what the real experience is. To understand this perception that you've had in its truth, seeing it from God's perspective, understanding it more from his mind, and also seeing now how he is making all things work together for your good as you look to him. And again, listening for any limiting beliefs, writing those down. And if there is something that you are seeing that you can change to have a different experience, just honor that thought that comes to you and believe and trust that it is perfect. It might be something really simple, most likely is something really, really simple. And take that in and just be aware of it for right now. Something that you can do, just a small tweak, a small change that you can make, that you have the power to make, that will make all the difference, that will change this experience from just being a perception of reality to be an actual real experience that you can see is working together for your good. All things working together for your good. And that will be your inspired shortcut. The one most important thing that you could do today that would change everything, that would be that pattern interrupt for you to quit walking around in a dream state, thinking that you know what's real, and just do this pattern interrupt, taking action on this one thing, your inspired shortcut that will change everything. And then what are those limiting beliefs that obviously are going to get in the way of that? And what would be the cost if you hold on to those limiting beliefs? What would be the cost to your real experience? What would be the cost to you taking action on that inspired shortcut? And if you don't like the cost of those limiting beliefs, then you can give yourself permission to change them. So right now, if you are ready to give yourself permission to change those limiting beliefs, choose something new, say yes.
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 Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And so what are the new beliefs, 2 or 3 new beliefs that will create that change, will clear the space for this real experience to happen, will empower you to be able to take that inspired shortcut? What new beliefs will help you from this moment forward to actually see your life as a real experience? That no longer would you be blinded by these counterfeits or these things these perceptions that you think are real. What new beliefs are going to help you to step forward, walking in your real life and having real experiences, making choices that are going to create real experiences in your life instead of a perception of what you want to be real. And then bring those new beliefs into that space that you've cleared. Make sure that they fit in that clear space where you are now creating real experiences. And then bring those in to become part of you so that as you walk forward from this call, you are experiencing life as a real person in the real world, but not what the perception of the real world is, but actually your real world. And in a moment, I'm going to invite you to come back to the present here. And we are at the end of our time, so we won't have time to share, but I would like to have you just bring your thoughts all together into a concise way and share on the Breakthrough with Gratitude Facebook group. We'd love to share with your experience, share with you in this experience that you had. Also, if there's anyone who is feeling like they need some extra support in this area, I would love to have a 15-minute free mentoring session with you. Just go to askwileen.com. That will take you directly to my calendar and you can have that 15-minute call. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, if you're still in that state, if you're still in that clear space where you're creating real experiences, just allow yourself to remain there as long as you need to. And then even after the call, if you need to learn everything that you can from God about real experiences and creating real experiences in your life, experiencing life in the real way that he meant for it to be experienced. I really fully believe that he meant for us to have an abundant, joyful life. It says in the scriptures that man is that he might have joy. And the abundance around us, nature, just screams that God wants us to have abundance and variety and just beauty in our lives. And so just stay with him as long as you need to know what it means to have a real experience in life. And we'll look forward to being back together with you tomorrow, 7 o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And thank you for being on our call today. It's been a wonderful experience. Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.